Hello, everybody. My name is Antonio Spadafora, and I'm a student at the University of Guelph. Today, I'm going to be interviewing my grandmother, mother, and sister for the Italian 3800 class. And today, we're just going to be talking about my grandmother's journey into Canada from Italy. Okay, so my first question is for you, Nan. How old were you when you immigrated, and from which part of Italy did you come from?
I was 8 years old when I came over, and I was born in Calabria.
So, were you already acquainted with anybody in Canada before you arrived? So, your father was already there?
Yes, my father was already here.
Okay, and where did you come when you first immigrated?
We came with the boat and we landed. We um,
Docked?
we docked in New York City.
Uh-huh. And then you drove?
It took us all night with the train to Hamilton.
Okay, so then you had a house in Hamilton?
My dad met us at the train station, and he brought us to a house.
Okay. And who did you come with? Your brother?
I came with my mother, my brother, and my sister.
Okay, so the three of you guys came and met up with your father then.
Yes.
Okay, but your father lived here, Mom, right? 6 years.
My father lived here 6 years before us, so he sponsored us.
Yeah.
And he came over 6 years before for a better life.
Mm-hmm. And how was the trip over?
It was terrible. Uh, I was very seasick for 7 days.
Uh-huh. And you said Uncle Eddie, he was the only one who wasn't sick.
Yes.
Yeah.
My brother was the only one that was not sick. We all stayed in our cabin, and my brother would go up and get us apples
Uh-huh.
to eat.
Okay. Okay, Nan, so my next question for you is, what do you remember of your first impression of Canada? And did you encounter any obstacles/language barriers as a new immigrant in Canada?
What impressed me was we docked at night in New York, and what impressed me was all the lights and all the skyscrapers. And when we got to Hamilton, we took the train from New York, and it was April when we got here, and shortly after it, we had a big snowfall, and we had never seen snow. And me and my brother and sisters, we went out into the yard bare feet with our pajamas, and of course, our feet were frostbitten by the time my mom came out to get us, and she didn't know anything about snow. So she put us in a hot tub with hot water, and that made it worse. Uh,
What about when you first went to school? They wanted to send you back however many years, even though Uncle Eddie's really smart too. They wanted to send you guys both back however many years.
put me in grade one.
How old were you?
I was 8.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a couple years behind.
Yes.
So that was not good for you.
No,
So
but I wasn't the only one, because at that time there was a lot of immigrants, Polish, Ukrainians. Some kids were even bigger than myself, and we were all in grade one.
yeah, I remember even Nuno dropped out, right? Like didn't bother going to school right away because
He came late.
yeah,
He was 14 or 15.
he came later on, but he didn't even bother at that point.
Because they were going to put him back so many years, too. It's embarrassing, right? He was 14.
So I think it goes to show you like that's one of the reasons why some of us were they were going right into the trades.
Correct.
Okay, Nan. So my next question is, did you bring any items of importance with you when you came to Canada, like any family heirlooms or mementos?
Not myself, but I know my mom did bring um, some special glasses that her mother had given her. She brought a blanket that her auntie had uh, knitted on the
Loom, on the loom.
loom, and I still have that blanket, and it's like 100 years old, uh, and it's still in good condition. But that was it.
Okay, Nan. So this next question doesn't really directly apply to you, but when Nanina Angela, uh, obviously you were born in Italy, but Nanina Angela did have one child in Canada after she immigrated. What was that like in comparison to Italy?
In comparison to Italy, my mom used to say that it was a piece of cake having a child here because she had the epidural, the doctors were around her, the nurses, and she was in a hospital. Compared to Italy, where you had your children in the house, um, you had a midwife, no medication at all, just women from the neighborhood would come and help out, uh, but it was very painful for the women.
Did she ever talk about how, because Nanina Angela never really spoke English at all, did she talk about how it was weird, maybe encountering all the Canadians there, nobody spoke her language, and she gave birth anyway?
No, because at the time there was a big boom of Italians coming over, so but it wasn't hard for her. And plus, we lived in an area uh, all Italians. The grocery store was Italian, the pharmacist, the doctors.
Okay, Nan. So, did you exchange any letters with relatives in Italy?
Uh, yes, my mother was constantly writing to her brothers in Italy. Um, it would be about anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks before you got a letter, and she would be anxious all the time, waiting for the mailman to deliver the mail so that she could find out about her siblings. Um, I wrote, at the bottom of my mother's letter, I wrote. Miss you and all that. Uh, Now it's so easy because I communicate with my uncles and aunts and my cousins in Italy on WhatsApp and almost every single day, which is so much easier. And my mother would have loved that.
If she could figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so where is home for you and why?
Home for me is Canada because my daughter is here, my grandkids are here. Uh, but I think I left my heart in Italy when I came over.
Hmm. All the relatives and the cousins.
Sure, all my relatives are there, my cousins, my uncles and aunts. I do go visit, but not that often.
And where are they all? In Rome and Calabria?
They're in Rome, they're in Calabria, they're Siena, uh, they're all over Italy.
Okay, Nan, looking back on your experience, is there anything that you would have done differently or wish something was played out a little different?
I really didn't have a choice in coming or staying because I was only 8. Uh, but I think probably if I had had a choice, I think I would have stayed there because uh, life was very hard here, uh, like work and no play. And in Italy, it's the reverse. It's a little bit of work, and uh, you might not have as much as you have here, but life is easier there. Uh,
It's more fun.
it's more fun, yes. Here, the immigrants at the time all they thought about was working and saving money um, with that dream that they'll go back, but 99.9 never do go back. And the few that do go back, uh, they return here because it's it's different. They find Italy different than when they left.
Did you giving birth to mom and like raising her with Nanina and Uncle Eddie like in Canada, do you think it would have been differently like have played out differently if it had all happened in Italy?
Probably not, because uh, over here, in the house, we still kept our heritages. And I mean, when my daughter's first language was Italian. And I remember when she was small, she would go out to play with the kids on the street, and she would mix Italian and English. And the kids would make fun of her because they couldn't understand half of the things that she was saying. But it was because we spoke it only Italian in the house, because my mom didn't understand English. So, and which really benefited my daughter, because she did learn how. I mean, she was born here, she had never seen Italy, but she spoke Italian in the house. Uh, and later on, she only spoke English outside and Italian in the house.
Okay, Nan, is there anything more you'd like to add about your story, or?
Well, I am upset because my parents, when they became Canadian citizens, automatically I was a Canadian citizen also, which I'm sorry that I lost my Italian citizenship, which I cannot get now. Uh, but I would have liked to have the dual citizenship. But I still consider myself Italo-Canadian.
Because without you having the dual citizenship, none of us can have it. Because you can pass it.
That's
you can
correct.
Pass it down the line.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
But we can still, like, we can try, I guess, to apply. But from what I've heard, it's impossible, near impossible to acquire after you've given it up or after your parents have given it up.
And it costs money too, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Not unless I go to Italy, and it's who you know in Italy. And sorry, if my relatives know somebody and I'm there, maybe I could get it back. I don't know.
There's always somebody, eh?
In Italy, yeah.
Okay, well, that was my last question. Thank you so much for being a part of the project. Nan.
Oh,
I
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, so for the final part of the interview, I'm going to be talking specifically to my mother, Angela, and my sister, Stella. So either you guys can just jump in whenever you have something to say. So do either of you guys identify with a cultural background and heritage?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
So I definitely do. I totally identify with being Italian, especially because I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. My mother had to go off and work, and so I spent the majority of my time with my grandmother, who only spoke Italian Calabrese dialect. And so then I learned how to speak Calabrese dialect. So I don't speak proper Italian. I only speak, again, dialect like her. And yeah, that was predominantly the language spoken at home was Italian, and then English was at school. Uh, and then there all the customs and traditions that went with that Nonina Angela taught me. So, making sauce in the fall, shelling beans in the garage, like certain things. I mean,
The rice balls.
yeah, like like food is a huge part of our culture. Getting together on Sundays.
Sorry, because you kind of touched on a question I was going to
Yeah.
ask you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So just to quickly answer it, when you were growing up, you were kind of learning both languages at the same time because of
Yes.
Nina Angela, because you grew up with her.
Yeah.
So like you were saying half the stuff in Italian.
And half the things in English, yeah. And so it's really it's broken, right? It's broken.
Do you get bullied in school?
No, because I did speak. My mother spoke English to me, right? It was my grandmother that only spoke Italian to me. But remember, Nonina Angela, no, she didn't speak Italian, but she understood English. She didn't speak English, but she understood English.
Yeah.
I know that's so hard to understand, but she really did. She understood me when
She never picked up the language.
I know.
She never bothered.
No,
But she never wanted to.
but she understood. She could take the bus.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Just like my mother grew up with her Nah, we grew
You
up
grew
with
up with
ours.
Nan.
We grew up with Nan,
Yeah.
and Nan never spoke Italian to us. So Stella, you don't speak it. You don't speak Italian.
I don't speak anything.
We can
I
pick
guess,
up.
I guess the swear words I know, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
nothing really.
So why do you feel a connection to this culture?
Well, our house is different than my
Yeah,
friend's
no,
house.
for sure.
Nan cooks. We only eat Italian food.
Yeah.
We're not really.
The traditions have stuck.
Yeah,
100%.
the same traditions.
You'd
we
never
learned.
know.
It's the same traditions we have.
Just the only huge thing is we really don't speak Italian. I can understand a lot, but
You understand more than I do, but
mhm. Okay, so Mom, were you born in Canada or abroad?
No, I was born here in Burlington. I lived here till I was 5, and there were no Italians here. I can honestly say that. And then we moved to Stony Creek, and it was all Italians there. I mean, when I went to high school, it was all Italians and Croatians. So everybody was, and I'm telling all my friends spoke Italian as well or understood it. It was a large Italian community.
Okay, that was the last question I had for you guys. Thank you so much for participating.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy that you're interested in knowing about your grandmother's life and immigration here to Canada. Thanks.